King Harris is having problems. He is shown having a private time with another man in a leaked video. His father, T, is frantically trying to keep the matter quiet when his baby mom reveals the child might not be his. This isn't another scandal involving a star. It's a complete collapse. King has been well known since he was a young child. He is currently the focus of ongoing rumors, viral altercations, and legal troubles. The pandemonium is visible to the general public, but the true narrative is more complex. T's reputation was based on dominance and might. The king is not interested in it. And now their whole family is disintegrating in front of everyone. There is drama on the internet, stress at home, and even irreversible harm. In this tale, family loses because a son rejects his father's heritage, authority over their meticulously constructed image, and that all began long before the video became widely popular. Let's dissect it. King Harris was seen by everyone as having it all, a strong last name, wealth, and fame. But the reality was far different from the TV smiles. King claims he didn't even live there, despite T and Tiny's family hustle depicting a close-knit household. His grandmother reared him primarily. Only when producers required him for filming would he come to the residence. He returned immediately to his grandmother's after the cameras were turned off. This family did not live there full-time. King understood it was a setup designed for television. He has publicly discussed it, claiming that he felt like a prop in a program that promoted the ideal of the ideal family. Although his followers witnessed him growing up in a mansion, he claims that his actual upbringing was everything from opulent. The animosity and identity crises were sown by that distance. King didn't feel like the son of a famous person growing up. He was a guest at his own house. This clarifies a great deal. The rage, the disobedience, and the never-ending urge to prove himself. It screws with your head when you've never felt privileged, even though the world deems you that. And that's precisely what took place next. Following a furious altercation on tape in late 2023, King and T went viral, revealing all the flaws in their relationship. T told King that he had it easy growing up. King retaliated by claiming that he didn't lead a lavish lifestyle. He never felt like he belonged to the affluent life his parents depicted, lived with his grandmother, and engaged in street fighting. The dispute quickly became heated. King maintained that he was a hoodie. I dismissed it with a laugh, saying he was merely trying to appear tough. The king would have none of it. He claimed that he had never desired the gated neighborhood, the notoriety, or the reputation his father had established. Even if it meant mayhem, he wanted his own way. It was more than a family quarrel. Two different realities collided. T believes he gave all to his son. King claims he had to battle for respect and recognition. One observes privilege. The internet took sides when the other person saw desertion. Some thought King was a resentful child. A young man who was yearning to be understood was what others saw. In any case, the harm was done. What many had already suspected was revealed at this moment. It was more than just arguments between King and T. They were in two different worlds, and their relationship was going to get even more strained. King's behavior worsened, and his rap sheet increased shortly after the family quarrel was made public. He wrote about his arrest on Instagram in 2022, just a mugshot with a caption, "No specifics." The internet came alive. People began to wonder how a child with so many chances was getting into trouble. However, that was only the start. King was found in possession of a gun, marijuana, and an expired license. He has not appeared in court, even nearly collided with a police vehicle. One guy is always held responsible when he makes headlines. Critics claim that T placed too much emphasis on celebrity and not enough on fatherhood. Additionally, the internet gets worse every time King makes a mistake. At last, T lost it. All parents deal with wild kids, and King was no different. He wrote in a video he made in defense of himself. King, he claimed, is aware of right and wrong, but continues. pursuing the wrong things, and regardless of what others may think, he will handle it in private. However, the harm to T's reputation had already been done by then. He was viewed as more than just a parent of a difficult son. He was perceived as the man who became unmanageable in his own home. Publicly, the man's picture-perfect family was disintegrating. And things got worse just when it couldn't get much worse. Something came to light that escalated the situation just when everyone believed King Harris had reached his lowest point. And it was personal this time. A purportedly leaked film purports to capture King having a private moment with another man. Just a clip that went viral and had a powerful impact without any background or explanation. Sources claim that there was more than one online leak of the footage. It went straight to King's baby mama, Big Nana, and T. Everything detonated at that point. Rumors were rife on the internet. Some referred to it as retaliation. Others perceived it as a betrayal by a member of his own social group. In any case, the harm was immediate. The timing couldn't have been worse for King. He was recently a father. He was attempting to establish himself, advance music, and win respect. Now, however, the most intrusive method was being used to drag his private life through the muck. And the fallout was huge for T. T based his whole professional life on being the rough, overly masculine rapper from the South. He consistently exudes power, control, and family values. Thus, everything was rocked when a video like this one appeared purportedly depicting his son in a manner that directly contradicted that picture. Masculinity still has a lot of weight in hip-hop, and this kind of exposure, particularly when connected to someone like T, has a unique impact. It jeopardized his public persona, brand, and trustworthiness. According to reports, T entered full damage control. According to insiders, he made every effort to prevent the footage from going viral. Silence, phone calls, and legal threats. Before it got viral, he wanted it buried. However, there was a significant issue: Big Nana. Apparently, she still possessed a copy. Additionally, the worry that she would use it increased given their already tense relationship. Nobody knew if it was for attention, retaliation, or leverage. However, the Harris family remained on edge because they believed that King's child's mother had the ability to reveal this information. And one question kept coming up as this story became worse. Was King being set up or exposed? The following revelation was much more devastating than the stolen footage. And this time, it hit King's identity as a new parent square in the middle. King enthusiastically shared the news of the birth of his son, King Jr., on social media in November 2024. He included a picture and even a song called Dear Son. He saw it as a new beginning and evidence that he was more than just a story in the tabloids. However, the festivities were short-lived. Rumors that King might not be the child's biological father surfaced shortly after the birth. His baby mama, Big Nana, was said to be unsure about the father's identity. Rumors of a covert DNA test started to spread. Then the purported bombshell arrived. King was not the father, according to the test. That gossip caught on like wildfire. His social media was inundated with remarks from fans. While some expressed sorrow, others made fun of him. However, the web didn't hold back. Posts, jokes, and memes that referred to him as naive or played we're all over. King's private life was once more being ripped apart in public. According to reports, T wasn't shocked. Insiders said that T had never trusted Big Nana. He thought she was trying to maintain her ties to the Harris name by utilizing King and the baby. He saw it as a matter of control, influence, and money. The situation was exacerbated by the released footage. T had a sneaking suspicion that she was responsible for the mayhem, or at least taking advantage of it. Nana, meanwhile, said nothing. Although she never acknowledged or refuted the rumors about the DNA test, her silence only served to increase suspicion. How come she wasn't cleaning up? Why keep the video on? Was this all part of a plan? King also didn't say much at the time. Refusing to participate in the drama, he continued to share photos of his son. He appeared to the public to be confused, yet dedicated. A young man torn between love, devotion, and treachery. The Harris family was formally at war since T was accusing Big Nana, and Nana had the most devastating evidence. However, the actual combat was still imminent. The real conflict between King's parents was taking place behind the scenes while the public's attention was on him. T desired quiet. King was not to respond to the released video, in his opinion. The DNA rumors were something he didn't want to recognize. His approach, it was easy. At all costs, conceal the story and keep the Harris name safe. Just silence no announcements, no interviews, no remarks on social media. Tiny disagreed, though. She thought the King had to take charge of the story. Speak up, stand up for himself, and stop allowing the internet to dictate the narrative. Silence wasn't strength to her. It was a sign of weakness. Even worse, it gave the King a guilty appearance. This disparity in strategy caused a significant divide. According to sources, Tiny was irritated. She believed T was more concerned with maintaining his reputation than with the welfare of their son. Each time she attempted to assist, T closed it down, while King addressed the matter candidly. In the sake of damage control, every effort to clear the air was obstructed. The public took note in the meanwhile. Critics began pointing fingers at T.I. They charged that he was more concerned with maintaining his reputation than being authentic, and that he was defending himself rather than his family. This time, the narrative of the evil parent really stayed. T remained in the background while King went through the hardest year of his life, which caused even his once supportive followers to turn against him. And the only person publicly supporting her son was Tiny, who had always been the more reserved one. She smiled with King and Baby King Jr. in affectionate family portraits that she shared on Instagram. The post wasn't merely a Christmas one. There was a message. We're still together and still here. However, the Harris family was divided behind those grins. T desired command. Tiny was seeking clarification. King found himself in the center. Additionally, trust is rapidly eroding. Emotions are running high, and the media is closely monitoring everything. There was not much time left for this family to reconcile. The past then returned to haunt them. Messiah had also been on T and Tiny, the family hustle, and had grown up in front of the cameras. However, when he grew older, he abruptly left. The show just gone, with no explanation or goodbye. Back then, fans didn't give it much thought until gossip began to circulate. According to rumors, Messiah had dated someone of the same gender when he was a teenager. After alleged private images surfaced online, individuals started making connections. Messiah's departure from the show has nothing to do with privacy or college. It had to do with image control. According to several insiders, T moved his kit out of the spotlight to prevent inquiries, rumors, or scandal, since he didn't want Messiah's alleged sexuality associated with the Harris brand. King is currently dealing with the exact same sort of controversy. The pattern felt familiar even, though none of those stories were ever verified. The Messiah said nothing. He changed his concentration to blues music and avoided social media altogether, not media. He turned into the King's antithesis. Reserved, quiet, and removed from the family brand. Is this what happens when a Harris child doesn't fit the image? People began to inquire. Many people now think King is following the same route, only louder, messier, and on a larger scale, in light of his recent public outrage and personal betrayal. Control was the foundation of T's reputation. It's a strong voice, a tough parent, and a self-made man. However, people are beginning to wonder what actually happens behind closed doors after it. Was stated that both boys were hushed or deleted when their identities didn't fit that brand. Because scandals aren't the only thing at stake here. It's a matter of survival. And if the script doesn't match your truth, you are removed from the narrative. King may be on a downward spiral, but he isn't going away. And in contrast to Messiah, he is resisting rather than becoming silent. And he might be revealing something greater than himself by doing this. King Harris is emancipating himself, not just acting out. The Harris heritage is based on control, from the phony family image to the silence imposed on his older brother. The brand was shaped by T. King is demolishing it. His parents did not raise him, cameras did. Thrown into stardom without any solid basis. With a child who may not even be his, a leaked video and legal issues, he is now publicly disintegrating. However, King might not be crashing out. Perhaps he's now revealing what his family has been trying to conceal. The insurrection, the DNA drama, and the video are all signs of something more serious. A reputation based on appearances. A son who never felt appreciated unless he created mayhem. And a father who attempted to run his children like a business. T desired command. Exposure was what he received. The world is increasingly aware of the flaws in the myth of the ideal family, parenting, and marriage. King is real, despite his recklessness. And sometimes the only way to be heard in a quiet house is to make noise. King will do next is the question at hand, not what he did.